Hey guys, alright? Welcome everyone. In 1641, France, we see a prisoner named James McCullen, accused of treason in selling military weapons to Lord Louis XIII. Taken to trial, James argues that since Lord Louis kills his own allies, he should have done double. James is also accused of attempting to overthrow the king's crown, so he will have a cruel sentence. James says that his name and clan are greater than his death, and his children and followers will continue his legacy. The executioner says they won't kill him, but they'll make an example of him for others, and they'll put a hot metal mask over his face to burn his entire face, which will remain on him for the rest of his life. The scene shifts to the future, where technology is already advanced and the world of weapons is very advanced. At a Mars Industry lecture, or you can call it Mars Industry, the CEO of the company, Mr. McCullen, presents the new weapons to a group of military leaders, and these weapons are nanobots called nanomites. McCullen says the technology was originally made to kill cancer cells, but with the necessary investment and with the help of NATO, they can use the nanomites as a weapon. Such a weapon can even eat steel, easily destroying a tank, and to further expand its power, the speaker McCullen says that the 7 million nanomites in a single explosive capsule can destroy a city, and they only stop eating everything around them when they are turned off. Present there is General Clayton, who carefully observes what was said. Moments later, we see 4 warheads being transported, and there for the escort is Captain Duke, and his companion Ripcord, who guide the rest of the soldiers. The package is delivered, then the military convoy leaves the Mars Industry complex. Inside the military vehicle, Duke and Ripcord discuss where they aim to join in the coming years, while they are followed by the air escort. At nightfall, after a period on the road, Ripcord says they went 1 kilometer further than the location where they were to meet the reconnaissance team, and then finding it strange, Duke asks for everyone's attention. The pilots say the radar shows nothing near them, but suddenly a ship quickly approaches them and shoots down a helicopter using an electromagnetic pulse weapon. The attack puts the soldiers on high alert, and they form up to protect the package. When the other helicopter tries to attack the enemy, the unknown aircraft defends itself from the missiles launched and again uses its weapon to shoot down the other aircraft. The soldiers realize they are being surrounded, and try to escape the encirclement, but the aircraft does not allow it. The team shoots with everything they have, firing missiles and using the .50 caliber weapon, but nothing brings down the enemy, who in response shoots back and flips the military vehicle. The aircraft finally lands and well-equipped soldiers come out, followed by a woman named Anna. They go to the soldiers who were waiting for them for the confrontation. However, the enemies have superior suits and armaments and suffer no damage. The attack continues, and the military suffer considerable losses, and as the enemy advances, Duke pulls Rip from the car and leaves the package. Then Anna arrives, takes the briefcase, and using her technological glasses she recognizes Duke, but then leaves. Soldier Duke tries to reach her, but is interrupted by an enemy soldier. Anna approaches and shows herself to him, and they both know each other from past times, but she kicks him. When a soldier with a sword and dark armor jumps from an aircraft, she leaves and a new fight begins. Besides him, a fighter named Scarlet enters the combat and tries to destroy the enemy's armor, but fails. She aims at the eye opening and shoots, even though she is knocked down to the ground. As she was being killed, the shot she fired hits her enemy's eye and a small explosion kills him. Duke runs after Anna and manages to reach her. She kicks him, and when she goes to grab the briefcase, a sniper named Heavy shoots at her, making her retreat. The group of foreign soldiers approaches Duke and asks for the briefcase, but he won't hand it over. Rip arrives at the scene to support his partner, but the unexpected visitors initiate a video conference with General Clayton, and he says that his team has just saved Duke. Rip points the gun at the team, but the swordsman comes up behind him, leaving him speechless. The general shows that he knows them, identifying their positions, and says he will take the package, but Duke says the job is his, and he is responsible for the weapon. Then another member of the group approaches to disable the tracker, and then the 2 soldiers are taken to the general's military complex. Sometime later, the team arrives in a desert, where Clayton's base is hidden. The general receives them and shows them the facility, saying that many nations have joined him for support, thus managing to create incredible weapons, such as a camouflage suit. The group has no information on who attacked them, but it is notable that the enemy has confidential information and very powerful technological weaponry. They then communicate with Mr. McCullen, who congratulates the colonel's team, while showing disdain for Duke's team, which irritates Duke, but he can't do anything about it. However, Duke says the mission was secret, so someone from within betrayed them, but they did everything to protect the package. McCullen says that thanks to the general, the package is safe, stating that what Duke did was not enough, and he failed. McCullen asks them to check the condition of his weapon, and then Soldier Breaker analyzes with his technological glasses and says everything is safe. However, McCullen speaks the opening password for Breaker to open the package. When the package is opened, McCullen reads the information and then ends the video call. Breaker tells the others that he analyzed the call and noticed McCullen's voice with interference. The group realizes that McCullen is hiding something from them. We then find out that McCullen is also communicating with Anna on his submarine, frustrated with the loss, as she was supposed to have stolen the cargo. However, he becomes more relaxed because he managed to lie and activated the tracker as soon as he opened the package, thus having the location of Clayton's military complex. Anna says she will retrieve the warheads, and ends the call, but then the swordsman called Storm Shadow affirms that he should have been called, but McCullen says that now he is being summoned, and cannot fail. Inside the submarine is McCullen's companion, Mr. Zartan, and together they head to the submerged complex of Mars Industries. One of McCullen's scientists presents the Royal Cobra, a white cobra, whose venom can kill an elephant with just one bite. But what the scientist wants to show is the armament evolution, where soldiers are being modified with nanomites to become superior, and are called new Vipers. One of them is sent to be bitten by the snake, and when he is bitten, nothing happens, since the nanomites inhibit the venom, as well as sensitivity to pain. Approving the human weapons, McCullen orders them to be prepared for attack. The scientist says that a new Viper is on standby in Washington, ready for the attack command. McCullen asserts that the confused world needs unification and leadership, and he will transform it with the power he has. They observe the destructive power he possesses, 3 intercontinental missiles, which will make the world turn to him. At Clayton's base, they search for information about the agent who attacked them previously. The general approaches them and tells Duke that possession of the package has been transferred to him, so Duke is released. However, the soldier says they lost his team, and they will join the general's G.I. Joe team. The general says he doesn't need them, but Duke says he knows the woman, saying her name is Anna and she was actually blonde, and had a relationship with her, but it has been 4 years since he had any information about her. Meanwhile, in a mansion in France, we see Anna arriving to talk to her current millionaire husband named Daniel, who knows almost nothing about her or what she does. Seeing the ninja Storm Shadow approaching, she asks her husband for some rest time, and after he leaves, the ninja approaches her, confronting her with a knife, and she reacts with something sharp. She was actually Storm Shadow's best student, and he says he will go with her to retrieve the warheads. After a moment of reflection, she remembers years ago. The scene shows the two at a military celebration, and taking advantage of the moment, Duke proposes to her. Her friend Rex, a military scientist and Anna's brother, arrives and jokes with him, but calls him because they both must leave for a mission at dawn. Anna asks Duke to promise to bring her little brother back home, so he promises. Anna declares once again that she will love him forever. Back to the present, Duke and Rip are equipped with an advanced military suit that will make them stronger and faster. Then they undergo more rigorous training from the Joes, where they need to do their best, even if the tests are complicated. They also undergo underwater tests using aquatic combat aircraft, and fight against the ninja snake, the masked one who never speaks. After being approved, the general visits them at the academy and congratulates them on their performance. Meanwhile, at night in the desert, the military continues to monitor the perimeter, when some tracks are noticeable in the area moving. Inside the facility, a soldier is surprised by drilling vehicles, guided by Anna, Storm Shadow, Zartan, and some soldiers. They infiltrate the installation in search of the warheads, and Zartan whistles a tune, then changes clothes with the fallen guard. Moments later, when a soldier approaches the general for a signature, a blade pierces through and kills him. The general fights Zartan, but the ninja quickly dominates him and wounds him in the chest. The team enters the general's room and opens the safe to retrieve the package. Still alive, Clayton activates the alarm and alerts the soldiers. Quickly, one of them on standby destroys the invaders' escape vehicles, forcing them to stay and fight. Some of them open the installation's entrance hatch and engage in a confrontation with the base's soldiers. When Duke intercepts Anna and Storm Shadow, she approaches him knowing he won't shoot her. Rip enters the scene and runs the enemy soldier through with a cargo cart, and soon a shootout begins, leaving Duke down and Anna fleeing. Rip is surprised by Storm Shadow, but his ninja brother appears to confront him with their swords. The brothers fight, both excellent swordsmen, but Storm Shadow, experienced in combat, decides to leave with the flying suit. Scarlet surprises Anna and knocks over the briefcase, initiating a fight between them. Scarlet uses her invisibility suit to gain advantages in the fight, but Anna, well trained, manages to find her and knock her down. Storm Shadow passes them and grabs Anna, and they leave together with the briefcase, managing to escape in time before the door closes. Later, the group recovers, and Rip tries to calm Scarlet down, as she is upset because she hasn't lost a fight since childhood. Moments later, we see Snake, reminiscing about his past. 20 years ago, in Tokyo, he was just a street kid, and looking at a Chinese temple, he enters the kitchen to eat something. Suddenly, another boy seeing him attacks him and confronts him for stealing food. They fight each other until Storm Shadow gains the upper hand, but their master interrupts them, telling his student to be kind and help the lost little one. From then on, they both grew up together but went to opposite sides when they grew up. Back to McCullen, he tells the story of his ancestor, holding the mask that had been imprisoned in him. McCullen orders Anna to get ready because she will activate one of the warheads in France. In the scientist's office, he prepares something to do with Sarton, where he says that he will control his own brain, no longer being a puppet of the doctor. The scientist starts the procedure and injects thousands of nanomites into Zartan's body, encoded to alter his genetics, changing the skin color, eyes, and even growing hair. However, his face begins to change shape. At Clayton's base, the soldiers realize that McCullen initiated the remote tracking of the package, so they were found, and the whole plan was for McCullen to get his warheads back, stealing them from his buyers. Breaker approaches saying he found Anna, and leads them to show where she is and who she married. Breaker says the man is Daniel, a scientist who runs a particle accelerator laboratory in Paris. The group, suspecting that such a location is being used by the enemy, heads to the site. While they are in flight, Duke recalls years ago, during wartime in Africa, and he and his team were sheltering, awaiting an aerial attack as reinforcement. He asks Rex, Anna's brother, to enter the bunker in a house to gather information and has a deadline of 5 minutes before it is destroyed. Unfortunately, the air support arrives earlier than expected and launches an attack that destroys the house where Rex was. Duke tries to enter the house, but Rip says they need to get out of there right now. Sometime later, Duke goes to his friend's funeral but dares not participate, watching from afar the great loss of Anna. Back to the present, Anna and Storm Shadow arrive at Daniel's scientific complex, bringing the warheads. Storm Shadow quickly uses his shurikens and kills the guards. They go to where Daniel is. Anna and Storm Shadow arrive saying he will do something for them, otherwise, they will kill everyone there. Daniel doesn't understand the situation, confused because his wife is there frightening them. Then Daniel uses his technology to enrich the nanomite particles. Meanwhile, Duke's team approaches the complex in a van. After finishing the process, Anna gratefully kisses Daniel, but Storm Shadow kills him, and Anna shows no reaction to the loss, as this was all part of the plan. As the group leaves, Duke's team arrives at the scene and begins to pursue Anna's car. Duke activates his suit and demonstrates its functionality, making him faster, while Rip being hit shows that the armor is strong. Snake pursues the car, and Anna tries to knock him off using the cars, but he is agile and dodges the vehicles, staying above the car. Breaker, studying the situation, discovers that Anna and her team are heading to a central and highly famous location, the Eiffel Tower, the ideal place to detonate one of the warheads and cause massive destruction throughout Paris. Duke's team, knowing this, initiates the confrontation to stop Anna's car. Snake almost manages to hit Storm Shadow with his sword, then the two engage in combat right there with the vehicle in motion. The enemy tries to knock Snake off the car, and when he is underneath the vehicle and about to be shot, Scarlet arrives quickly on a motorcycle and shoots his enemy, saving her partner. Anna fires her electromagnetic pulse weapon and destroys the track, causing Scarlet to fall, but fortunately, Rip saves her with his suit. Duke and Rip continue the pursuit against Anna, but she fires missiles at the two, and they dodge perfectly, but both are hit by the electromagnetic pulse weapon. Snake for some reason gets out from under the car, and Storm Shadow, knowing that his enemy never gives up, is surprised by a train that hits the side of the vehicle, causing it to flip over and become unable to continue. Anna and Storm Shadow manage to get out and prepare the warhead to be launched against the tower. They enter a nearby building, and Duke and his partner arrive and split up to get the nanomite activator and the warhead. Both strive to get there in time, but Storm Shadow manages to launch the warhead before Rip can stop him. The warhead hits the base of the tower and begins to corrode it, where the nanomites touch they start to eat away. To stop the nanomites, they need to activate the paralyzer, which is with Anna, but Duke can't get close. Storm Shadow escapes from Rip and jumps onto the escape aircraft, and then Anna also gets in. Before the door closes, Duke quickly jumps into the ship and presses the button, deactivating the nanomites, and thus saving Paris from the worst, although the Eiffel Tower collapses completely. Without his helmet, Storm Shadow manages to knock out Duke and is taken away. When the team reaches the overturned car, Breaker tries to use his technology to obtain information from the dead man's brain, but the scientist's technology is faster and self-destructs, turning the soldier into dust. Moments later, a large police team arrives and arrests them, while Snake escapes unnoticed, shortly after the team is taken to the police station. Sometime later, the general arrives and asserts that they will be released on the condition that they never return to France, and the heads of state of each one order them to return to their home country. Rip questions about Duke's disappearance but receives no answer. Inside Anna's aircraft, Duke wakes up to discover that McCuller has something prepared for him. Duke asks what happened to Anna, but she no longer cares about him. Duke regrets disappearing after Rex's death because he couldn't bear breaking the promise he had made to her. Anna says that everyone regrets something, and at that moment Storm Shadow recalls days of his childhood with Snake, where he always won the fights, but one day when Snake defeated him, their master, already tired from age, congratulated the orphan ninja, and this caused anger in Storm Shadow's heart. One day a scream is heard by the disciples, and when they go to check, they discover that the master has been killed, and the sword embedded in his body is Storm Shadow's, and he fled afterward. When the G.I. Joe team is freed, Breaker, analyzing what he managed to find about McCuller, discovers his possible location in the polar Arctic. The team asks the general about the discovery, and he says that orders were given to return, but the day and time were not specified, so they are free to act. Hours later, we see the team in a submarine, heading for the North Polar Arctic, where Anna and the others arrive at the hidden base. Before they go deeper into the installation, Duke grabs the briefcase with the warheads and tries to escape the guards, but there are too many and he can't get out, so he is detained again. Back to Breaker, he tells the team that the package tracking signal has been reactivated, and Rip asserts that Duke managed to help them. Anna, Storm Shadow, and Duke descend into McCuller's submerged installation, which is beneath the ice. When they present themselves to McCuller, he kisses Anna to make Duke even more furious. The soldier attacks McCuller's head, and the punches he takes afterward cause Anna to begin to have flashes of her and Duke's memories. Meanwhile, a robotic fish approaches the installation and films the large structure, showing an entrance and also 3 large tubes, indicating to them that they are missile launchers. Moments later, the G.I. Joes spring into action, quickly defeating the guards at the entrance. Meanwhile, Duke is strapped to a chair for the nanomite procedure. The scientist, recognizing Duke, introduces himself to the soldier and removes his breathing mask, revealing himself to be Anna's brother, Rex, who survived the explosion inside the bunker and has since disappeared from the world. Rex explains that upon entering the location, he saw the scientist Mindbender hiding there and, observing his research, discovered experiments with nanotechnology being tested on humans. He quickly downloads the files, but the scientist, hearing an attack alert, closes the bunker door, and then everything explodes. Rex reveals that the two of them survived the explosion, and after months, he perfected the nanomites, and Duke will be the first to be tested with the new ones. Back at McCuller's base, he activates the launch of 3 intercontinental missiles. Seeing this, Snake takes his missile-equipped transport and shoots one of them, luckily hitting and destroying one of the warheads. Unfortunately, there are still 2 missiles left, so Rip, an Air Force enthusiast, decides to steal McCuller's supersonic jet and follow the missiles, while the others infiltrate through the launch tubes. In the compartment where Dr. Rex is preparing to transform Duke, Anna arrives and knocks him down, freeing Duke and showing that she is returning to her true self. Duke kisses her and realizes that Anna has been modified with the nanomites, which is why she was acting like an enemy. Suddenly, she collapses, and Rex shows that he has control over the nanomites in her body. He reveals that he injected his own technology into Anna so that she would forget the pain of loss and the love she felt for Duke. McCuller arrives at the scene and is informed that Anna managed to briefly bypass the control of the nanomites in her mind, but she is still alive. Near the installation, Clayton's soldiers await the signal, and when Snake manages to bypass security and grant access for the group to enter, Clayton releases the soldiers to act with their aquatic vehicles and they quickly engage in combat formation. McCuller's defense vehicles emerge to start a battle. The G.I. Joes hit a missile in the installation, causing it to shake, giving Duke a chance to arm himself with a weapon, but Rex still has control of the situation. McCullough orders the pulse cannon to be activated to minimize the enemies, and it works. The team of Scarlet, Snake, and Breaker enters the control room and manages to defeat the soldiers present there. They lock themselves inside to try to stop the intercontinental missiles. Breaker shares the missile locations with Rip, who, at Mach 6 speed, approaches one of the missiles heading for Moscow and then will have to catch up with the one heading for Washington. The American president is taken to the secure bunker built by Mars Industries. Meanwhile, the G.I. Joe's support submarine is grazed, but loses its engines in the attack. McCullough tries to hit Duke with a flamethrower, but the soldier defends himself with his weapon, and in this battle, McCullough gets burned, and the scientist drops Anna's controller. Fearing for his life, he flees the scene. Duke awakens Anna to escape together. Rip, in the airspace, manages to shoot down the missile heading straight for Moscow. Now only the one heading for Washington remains. Meanwhile, in the president's bunker, an infiltrated soldier initiates the plan to take over the location, leaving only the president alive. After this, a secret door opens, and a man emerges, leaving the president stunned, understanding what they are intending to do. Back at the submerged base, Heavy manages to hit the sonic weapon, and Snake enters the reactor's security cabin and shuts it down. On the other hand, Rex carries McCullough to the escaped submarine, and they depart, while Duke takes Anna with him to an underwater combat vehicle and submerge in the water. Duke has McCullough's location and decides to follow him, while Anna shoots at the enemies approaching them. Storm Shadow arrives at the security cabin of the weapon and engages in combat with Snake, pushing him into the reactor of the pulse weapon. Both are exceptional swordsmen, and even when Snake loses his sword, he uses another weapon to injure his opponent. Storm Shadow removes his mask and begins to question why his brother remains silent. We understand that the ninja made a vow of silence since the death of his master. However, Storm Shadow says that he will kill him to end it. The fight continues, but fortunately, Snake manages to prevail and strikes Storm Shadow in the chest, causing him to fall seemingly dead into the water below them. Back to Duke, he releases laser devices that destroy one of the enemy aircraft. Seeing them on radar, Rex closes the escape hatch, but Duke manages to hit the submarine before getting trapped. Fortunately, when attacked, Duke performs an evasive maneuver and escapes from his enemies and destroys them. Rip misses the first shot on the missile, and when the weapon approaches the city and its target, Rip quickly thinks of something, so as not to miss, he gets very close and destroys the weapon, causing the nanomites to attach to the aircraft's hull. Rip has the idea of taking them as high as he can in the atmosphere, then injects himself. Rip remains silent, but when Scarlet calls him, he responds with joy, and everyone celebrates. Knowing that they have lost the installation, Rex orders it to be destroyed, and when the monitors show this, Duke alerts all the G.I. Joes to evacuate the area. The explosions begin, and the pressure breaks the glass of the installation, forcing Scarlet, Breaker, and Snake to escape through the elevator to the surface. Duke manages to find another way and they safely exit the location, which is soon destroyed by tons of blocks of ice. Moments later, we see Rex injecting something into McCullough's body, saying that the nanomites are the future, and suddenly his face becomes metallic, reminiscent of his ancestor James McCullough. Rex is confronted by what he has done, but Rex now has full control of McCullough, and putting on a technological helmet, he says that he will be called Commander. Outside, Duke's aircraft is in front of them, and Rex confronts him, saying that he is too small to stop him, but Duke calls his entire Joe team, and they surround the enemy Rex and McCullough. Sometime later, Duke imprisons the two enemies in a maximum security prison. Meanwhile, Anna undergoes examinations to be treated for the nanomite infection, but she will have to remain imprisoned in an oceanic prison until the nanomites are completely removed from her. Duke bids her farewell for the time being, saying that he won't give up on her, and then they kiss. Days later, the new team formed by Heavy, Breaker, Duke, General Clayton, Ripcord, Scarlet, and Snake, set off on a new mission. Meanwhile, the president, appearing happy, greets everyone in the White House, then goes to his office and sits down carefree, but as he whistles a tune, it is revealed to be Zartan, who has genetically transformed himself to take the place of the American president, without anyone knowing.